But then as he started to write this, a scene, he would become each of the parts. So much so that were it a sad scene or some contemplative scene, tears would come to his eyes. And he would say it exactly the way you would hear it on the screen later. Betty Hutton once described it, that he said the line, and you had to say it precisely as he told you to say it. And it turns out that Charlie Chaplin worked the same way. Claire Bloom gave an interview, and she said it was very, very easy as long as you did it precisely and exactly to every little turn of the head, to every modulation of the voice, and which is what Preston did. And one of the reviewers in Time magazine, and I've forgotten for what film, said that Preston must be one of the great actors of the world because the people in his films were superb, whereas in other films they were merely mediocre. I do remember his much admiring Barbara Stanwyck, because he said that she had what many women don't have, and that she would be beautiful all of her life, because she had an inner beauty, and that no matter her age, that beauty would still be there. And also that she was an instinctive actress and took almost no direction. She needed none. So when not needed, of course, he didn't offer it. But that she had this, as I said, an instinct, and she knew just how a line should be read. And he much enjoyed working with her, and she was apparently great, great fun. He thought that Joel McCrea was a very fine actor. Now, Joel McCrea was directed, so that when you see him say the lines the way he says them, it's because that's how he was directed. And Joel McCrea was very facile with it, didn't mind it being directed, in fact, preferred it that way. He never had an attitude that Sullivan did, you know, that comedy wasn't worth doing. But the reason he wrote Sullivan's Travels was because many of his friends who were comedy directors, like Leo McCarey, were beginning to make pictures with a message. And his effort was to try to indirectly tell his fellow directors that preaching was for preachers and the film was about fun. And that was the instigance for Sullivan's Travels.
Trying to crash the movies or something?
Something like that.
I guess that's pretty hard to do, huh?
I guess so. I never got close enough to find out.
Oh, sorry.
Say, who's being sorry for who? Am I buying you the eggs or are you buying me the eggs?
Just like to repay you for them.
All right, give me a letter of introduction to Lubitsch.
I might be able to do that, too. Who's Lubitsch?
Drink your coffee.
Preston and Lubitsch, for instance, were very, very good friends. And his very first picture, The Great McGinty, he wanted to have a screen that said, dedicated to my friend, Ernst Lubitsch. And what is this nonsense about dedicating pictures? Forget it. So it never happened, but he loved his pictures, and of course, as you know, they were brilliant. But Lubitsch, of course, was not a writer, but he was a director who knew how to tell a story. And that's, of course, what the director does. He's the storyteller.